Okay, right, we're still on the boring bits. I've taken the pegs off the other side. I've glued this side on. You can take these pegs off now. Make sure this is okay. No reason why it shouldn't be. When I say pegs, I obviously mean high quality Kerfing clamps. It's looking good at the moment. Yeah. So yeah, a nice snug fit all the way around. There's a joint, obviously, because these Kerfings aren't quite long enough to fit all the way around. Can't even see where the joint is. Oh, there it is. That's where the joint is on this one, and that's where the joint is on that one. Once they've sanded down, hopefully they'll disappear. The Kerfing, this Kerfing on the back of the guitar, you'll see from through the sound hole. So it's important to try and get this as neat as you can. The one that goes around the bottom here isn't, well, it's obviously, technically it's just as important, but as far as the looks and aesthetics go, it doesn't matter quite so much because you can't actually see it. But nevertheless, I'm going to try and keep it as neat and as clean as I can. Thing to do now is, as you can probably see, this stands a little bit proud. So that's got to be sanded down now, and it'll be sanded to the same angle as the back is going to be. So it's on with the sanding disc again, and a little bit more sanding. So I'll do that, and I'll come back to you in a bit. Okay, right, I've sanded it and hoovered it and cleaned it. As you can see, I've put a white line around the edge of the thing here, just to make sure it's all the sanded all the way through. It looks alright. In fact, it looks very good. I'm very pleased with that. That's gone really nicely. What I've got to do now is turn it over and do the other side. And that's when well, I'll show you, just a second. It's pretty hard doing this one-handed. But what you've got here, this part of the guitar frame is flat. And it lies nice and flat on there, just the job, so it doesn't move. You can work on that side fine, but this side isn't, of course, as we know. This has got a curve on it now. This has got a 15-foot radius curve, so it won't sit flat. So this is where the radius disc comes in again. Just a second. Right, there we go. I've put the radius disc on the work surface, face up, and of course I've put the guitar frame. I've turned it over, so the curved side is now facing down on the radius disc, and it's a perfect fit. So it doesn't, well, it'll slide because I haven't fixed it yet, but basically it's not going to slide on the radius disc. So that means that that's a nice and solid base to be able to start doing this side of it. It's all right doing the gluing, obviously. It's when you come to do the sanding that it starts to jiggle about a bit. So the next job is the Kerfing on this side. I don't need to pre-sand this side like I did on the previous one, because there's hardly any fall off on this. It's virtually flat. Basically, you've got a slight curve on the back of the bout here, just very slight, and the front half is flat, and that's so the neck can fit on. So well, I'll go at that. Okay, I've got my first set of Kerfings started on there. I'm going to let that dry now, but I just want to talk to you about this back. Although I say it's flat, there is actually a very slight radius on it. On the back half, what they call these bouts, top and bottom bouts, the back half of the bout, the bottom half, has a radius of 28 foot, which is very slight, and this part is virtually flat. Now, you can get a 28-foot sanding disc, but it's really not worth it, to be perfectly honest with you. There's another way of doing it, the way I did my previous guitar, which does work, but it's a bit more fiddly. And it's using basically a sanding stick. I'll show you my old one, just a second. This is the one I used on my previous guitar. Now, I can't use this again, because if you look down there, I don't know if you can see that, it's not flat anymore, it's warped itself slightly. But basically, you have a long stick, flat stick, you put sandpaper on it, and you put a wedge on the other end to get your radius. So when you actually sand it, you put it on like that, and you move the sanding bit about, and it cuts the wood. The trouble is, the sanding angle I needs a wedge of, believe it or not, 1.5 degrees, which is obviously very difficult to cut a wedge that small. So what I do is this, just to show you. I've drawn a line on the baseboard here, got a protractor, made a mark, got a protractor, and I made an angle there. If you can see that, that is 1.5 degrees. Now we know that the wedge has got to be 8 inches long, and the sanding board is 2 foot long. So basically then, that is the shape of my wedge. Can you see that? I don't know if you can. That is the shape of the wedge. Now I can't cut a wedge that shape, you know, not without some proper equipment. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a piece of wood, which is actually this little piece of maple, which is exactly the right thickness there. I'm going to get my sanding stick to be slightly longer than 2 foot. Basically glue this flat on the end of it, and then just use that as the edge on there, you know, once it's stuck on the stick, and that will give me my angle for this half of the thing. And the angle will actually slowly fade to 0 as it comes around this side here. And hopefully that will work, but that's a couple of days away yet. Cheers. Well, I've just had a delivery, which is good news and bad news at the same time. I've been waiting for the back to come. The bloke's been waiting to get me a nice piece of figured rosewood, which he's got, which is really good. It's really nice. But although I knew he was going to actually cut the shape, because I know, you know, they tend to do this so they can save the extra bits of wood for themselves, I didn't expect him to join it. That's given me a slight problem, because I wanted to put a back strip down the middle, which basically you get the 2 pieces of wood, and they're the book match, as you can see. They're the same each side. You get the one piece, you put your little filler strip down the middle, and then you put the other piece up and you join them together as 3 pieces. So this is giving me a bit of a headache. The only thing I can think I can do is possibly route it. I'll put a piece in the middle. I might think about that. It's a nice piece of wood. It's got some nice figuring in it. I don't know which side to use, so I'll have a closer look at it and decide which side I'm going to use. I like this piece down the bottom here. This is nice, the way it goes up the middle. And I suppose I'll lose that if I route it and put a back strip in. Needs a bit of thinking about. Needs a bit of thinking about. But I'm glad it's come. It'll look nice when it's on there. It's a nice piece of wood. I think that's the sign I'm going to use for the back. I like this the bit of figuring in the wood. I think it gives it a lot of character. Once that's all cleaned up and polished, it's going to look lovely, I think. All the way these stripes sort of go in. I mean, I think it's a really nice piece of wood. It's just a shame it's joined it. Anyway, I suppose he thought he was doing me a favour. Okay, well, I won't be using that for a little while, but I thought I'd just show it to you. Cheers.